Good morning, everyone. I am Sharon Francis, and I am the business advisor for the Columbus MBAC. Welcome to our session today, e-commerce 101. We are so excited to have with us one of our very own, Priscila Teixeira. She is here. She's going to be sharing her experience. She's gotten over 20 years, I think over 30 years of experience as an entrepreneur and an e-commerce specialist. And so we're just glad that she's able to share with all of us today. So before I turn it over to her, I do want to introduce our director, Jesse Mark, and who is also with us today. And if he is able to just uh, turn on his camera and say hi to you, he will give
Hi,
him that stage.
I think I'm here. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Sharon, and thank you, Priscilla, for sharing your time and your expertise here with the group today, this morning. In line with the MBAC's mission of education, exposure, and exposure to resources, that's exactly what we're doing here today. E-commerce is the way of the present and the future. I think everybody through the pandemic has realized that we can do things and conduct business as we are right now on this Zoom call. Very excited to learn from Priscilla today. Thank you so much for being here. Again, additional resources for everything that we have here at the MBAC between certifications, access to capital, and education. We're here to help support you grow in scope and scale. So without further ado, I will kick it over to Ms. Priscilla. Thank you so much. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Shara. I am so honored and happy and excited to be here. You guys are an amazing source. I'm so happy when I found out about all that you guys do. And the more I learn, the more I'm impressed and glad and thankful. And I still am in the middle of my process to transform a business that I have had for over 15 years. And I never stopped to turn into a minority business. And then another day I was talking to Sharon, I learned about all this wonderful, I'm like, oh my goodness, how I didn't do this before. So I'm so glad, and I'm still learning a whole lot, but I know you guys are there for us, and I'm super thankful and excited for the future, get even better. And thank you for everybody that is here. I cannot see our audience, so I'm gonna, before I start rolling here, we have a short amount of time for a whole lot of a whole lot of things to cover. So today, we're not gonna get in depth of everything, obviously, but we're gonna kind of pretty much touch the basics of what you need to think about and be aware if you are considering running e-commerce. So later on, we might be doing some different extra classes where we can get more in depth in specifics. But for today, what you can expect is just kind of go through really, again, the basics of e-commerce. So I would ask you guys to hold the questions towards the end if possible. If not, go ahead, raise your hands, and we'll stop as soon as we can. But other than that, we're going to run through. We have a 25 slides deck to go, so pretty much a couple minutes per each one of them. But before we get started, I want to kind of get an idea of who is out there. So if you guys could put on the chat two things. I would like to know, one, where you're located, so we can kind of, the Columbus Umber League and myself, we can get an idea who is out there. Are you all in Columbus, or are you somewhere else in the United States or in the world, wherever you are? Let us know in the chat, please. That's number one. And another thing I'd like to know as well is, do you already have e-commerce presence? Are you anywhere already? And it doesn't matter if you are not, you're just starting, but do you have something already going on? Or is that a dream that you are like, okay, now is the time, let's make it happen? So just kind of, so I get an idea of where we are at and how we kind of go through the presentation. Sharita, the Honorable Joyce Pies. Oh, yummy. Okay, wonderful. Thank you for being here, Sharita. And I got Zuri Greer. Zuri, where are you located? Columbus. All right. Love it. I'll wait for a couple more people to answer. you guys probably have seen my pretty heavy accent, by the way. If you don't understand what I'm saying, just say it. I don't take things personally. I know I have a heavy accent. I know I speak very fast. I'm going to try to pause myself, but please, by all means, if you do not understand something, raise your hands, let me know. It's for you guys. It's to help and support you guys. So we need to make sure that you understand. And so just ask questions if you don't understand. Don't think I'm going to take personally. I will not. I will not take offense. Thank you. I have been in Columbus for 20 years, so my accent's a little bit less heavy than it was, but still, and when I start going super fast, it's like, oh, Priscilla, slow down.
Mhm.
Okay. So Shara, go ahead.
Actually, I do want to acknowledge Quecia Smith and Zuri Greer, who are actually our confederates here at the Columbus Urban League, who are on the class, and they're also trainers. And so this information, I'm sure, will be helpful to them as they're working with their clients. So I do want to welcome you all to the session today. Thank you for coming.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. Oh, hello, Clesia. Is that how you pronounce Clesia? Okay. All right, and Shara, I'm not sure if I can see everyone or not, so you let me know when you want to move. I'm ready. I'll wait. Clesia. Okay, awesome.
All right. No, we're ready, and I will put up your screen, and we'll get started, all right?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So are you able to see?
Yeah.
Here we go. All right.
And we can move on to next. So as I mentioned to you guys earlier, we're gonna pretty much kind of touch bases on the basics today and kind of zoom through all the things that you gotta have under your radar when you're considering selling online. So amongst some of these topics that we're gonna cover, one of the most important ones, the one that we most likely will spend most of our time today is gonna be talking about SEO, and which is search engine optimization. And you guys are gonna see, we're gonna kind of get into it deeper a few slides down. But we're gonna also kind of be talking a little bit about some of email marketing, about some of the tools on marketing, some strategies, some mindsets of entrepreneur, and all the challenges and the plus and minus and the different options that we have out there. So we can move to next. Here, so before we move it, I want to ask you guys, for the ones that, even if you already started, if you already have your business going on, or if right now it's an idea, where we are at, I want to know, what is that idea? Just so for us to kind of get an idea, what is that you're going to be selling? What product are you selling? Or maybe it's not a physical product. Maybe you're going to be selling something that is virtual. So maybe it's classes that you're going to be putting online, maybe workshops. So whatever that is, can you share with us what product, what is your business idea? If it is a service, if it is something tangible or not, whatever that is. So if you guys can put on the chat for us to get an idea, just put like a couple seconds for that. And while you guys type that on, I'll share what I have done so far. I started selling online on the late 90s, not to date myself, but and what I have done, what I started back then and I still do, is dealing jewelry, costume jewelry mainly, and accessories. That's something, and one of the reasons why I did that, and we're gonna touch bases on some of you, I don't know if you already have decided what is that you wanna sell, or if you're just kind of thinking about it, but not sure what it is. One thing that if you read it through, it's a common sense almost on that would make your life easier when considering what to do online is pick something you are passionate about, either that or something you are very good at, that you have a wealth of knowledge. That will make your life much easier if you had either one or the other. And if you have both, that's a dream come true. It's gonna just make it all those little bumpy days a little bit easier. If you are dealing with something that you are passionate about, that a product that you strongly believe, or share knowledge of something that you are very comfortable or that you love to be studying all the time. So those are just things to consider when you make a decision. So let's see. So you got, Sharita has pies, which I got on your name. I'm like, oh, she must have some yummy pies, pies, cakes, cookies, and some sugar-free and gluten-free products. Wonderful. And then menswear for Zuri. Zuri, is that something that you are doing already, or that is the plan? And Sharita, I think you already are on business. Is that correct? Currently in business, okay. So tell, since you are already in business, for those of you who are already, what platform you guys use? Where are you selling? If you guys could share that as well. That's gonna kind of link us to what's coming next.
And I believe also Kalisha said that classes is what she's offering. That's the services that she's offering.
Oh, classes. I see. I missed that. Oh, thank you. Thank you for bringing it up. Sure. That's one of a what kind of classes, Kalisha? Can you share with us? And that's another great thing about webinars, not only us helping each other, sharing knowledge and support each other, but also networking, right? So we are all, seems like we are all Columbus based so far, but regardless, it's online, even if you weren't. So what kind of classes, if you guys can want to go ahead, and since you are already in business, for all of you who are already established online, if you feel comfortable and you'd like it, please, by all means, go ahead and put it your website on the chat so everybody else on the group can learn from you and be contacting you aftermath as well, connect on LinkedIn and all that good stuff. So if you guys can share here your domains, your websites, current in business, websites, social, and storefront. Okay, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the platforms and difference. Where do we have storefronts? Where do you have that currently? And if you have intentions to kind of, expand or not, and kind of the pros and cons on each of those subjects. Let me just see if there is somebody else. Friends, family, and community, and just recently start shipping, pop-up stores. Oh, cool. And what's the bill first Fridays? Oh, you always do markets. That's great. So you kind of get a whole mix of kind of a little bit of each word, which is wonderful. My congregation, always a great idea. joybizbiz.com. Right, Joy. Biz, love it. Joyce Biz. Okay. And the persona store. That's a cool name. That gotta be a hard domain to pick it up. Okay. All right. So let's move it forward here. First mention, let's kind of move it to the next slide and then start kind of digging into some things. It seems like, I don't know if some of our guests, the ones that did not type anything on the chat, I'm assuming are some of our guests that don't have established a store yet. So we're gonna go touch base on that a little bit. So one thing to do always, and there's some of those I might go a little bit faster because the ones that have answered already have a website. So this would not be as relevant. But for those of you who do not have it that open yet, and one thing that always you want to be doing, and some of you might be on that phase, which is do your research. Research your idea, check your product, who out there has already or doesn't, and what's your niche. So research. You can never stop doing research and studying are two things that I always would tell everybody. But especially before you start running your business, make sure that you do deep dive into research. And then kind of, there's many different ways you can see that, but there's two main hats that I would say you make sure that you gotta wear those hats. One, you gotta think as an investor. So if you would have somebody come in investing on your business, what is that they would like to see? What kind of numbers, what kind of data, what kind of questions would that person ask? And if you don't know, try to put yourself on their shoes and think, okay, if I'm an investor and a friend came to me and they have an idea, a business they want to open, what kind of answers I want to hear in order for me to kind of push the button and say, okay, let's go invest it. So try to think as an investor, as well as then kind of flipping the side, also think as a client. So when you are creating the product, when you're offering the product, no matter if it's classes or if it's pies, underwear, whatever that might be, put yourself in the shoes of your clients, of your ideal customer, and think about it, how they would like to be treated, what kind are the basics, or how much you want to expand. So always put yourself on the shoes of those two personas, at least when you're doing the research to decide what is that you're going to do. I'm going to move forward. Next slide, please. Then another thing, when you decided what is your product, what is, no matter if it's physical or digital, and on the case of classes, which is something that has been exploding, and of course we've covered it even more, but it's a huge market and it's very, very low cost and very high profit. The margin is huge, as you can imagine, for digital products. But let's talk, most of us are doing physical. And when it comes, and of course, logistics on digital, it's much easier as well. So now this slide's more to cover the physical product. So some things to consider when you are doing, let me get this here out of the, okay. So there's different ways to do about it, but the two most common ways for you to source your product, it's either drop shipping, or you're gonna go and you're gonna actually hold physical inventory. No matter if you are manufacturing, or if you are handmaking this in your kitchen, or if you are, send it to somebody in China to make it there for you. Whatever it is, that is the physical inventory portion that you have to consider. And a lot of questions that you gotta answer about, from where you're gonna store those products and the conditions that you need to store that, planning in terms of what's the time of production. So all those things, and how we're gonna get the material. And then if you're dealing with outside the United States, the import, taxes, all those things are questions that you have to think about it when you are actually buying the product. Then a lot of people, the most common way for folks to start on e-commerce is doing drop shipping. And I'm personally I have never done drop shipping myself. I know a whole lot of people, and I know from reading that is the #1 way how people start. And there's a lot of pros and cons. So that's something to just, again, investigate it. And there is lots of resources, and depends on what is the model that you decided to take. Some platforms will be better than others. So let's move it to the next slide. And guys, Cheryl, I don't know if they will have this presentation access to that later. There is more details here, the underlines, you guys can read that through later in case we don't get to every single line through this hour. Yeah, we can move to next. Okay, that is one here, one back. There we go. So now the next question, that's one of the most important questions for you to answer. One of the things that will take most of your time to take into consideration, because that's gonna play a huge role on your success on a daily basis. Where is that you're gonna hold your store? Where is that is gonna be teaching your classes from? What platform you're gonna use? And that really kind of depends on your business model. There is really no right or wrong, and it's really what works for you, for your business. And there is a series of things that we're gonna kind of cover why would be better, some places better than others. So here I kind of post most of the major players out there. So you have it from Shopify. I'm gonna just speak first about Shopify, which is the one that I use the most, and on the past 20 years, I have used it in different times, 15 years, Shopify. And then they have it, and one of the reasons that I love Shopify, it's the amount of apps that it provides and tools. It has a whole lot of things together that it's ready to go. So I kind of get the expertise from all those vendors that are connected to Shopify, and then with a lower cost, but I have that expertise, but it's still my store. And what I mean by that is I have it done. I still have it at Etsy, eBay, Wix, Bonanza, Poshmark, all those other places which are marketplaces, which there is what is good and what's bad? Let me just pause myself here for 1 second. So if you are doing something if you have your own store, if you decided to open a Shopify, or if you decided to open a boutique on GoDaddy, what happens there is that you're more a business owner on a sense that you decided most everything. It is your shop, and you have control over your clients. You have direct access to them, which is a major difference from the fact that if you go in a marketplace like eBay or Etsy, where they have ownership over the clients. They are the ones that control they have access to their email. They are the ones that talk to them. So it's kind of a little bridge. And not only that is a major factor, but also you have kind of follow some rules. So you are your boss, but not really, which we all know as entrepreneurs. One of the reasons why a lot of us decided to be entrepreneurs is because you don't want to have a boss. You want to kind of, call the shots. And so even though there is great things about the traffic that places such as eBay and Etsy will bring to your business, you gotta be aware and take into consideration the fact that they will set some rules that like you or not, and there is some limitations on things that you might be able to sell or not. There is some listings that you might have invested money and time, and they will take it down. On the other hand, they are wonderful on a sense of they bring traffic to you. And so a lot of people, and I believe in on that same way, that kind of find that combination, a good balance between your own shop and having the traffic of marketplaces. So a lot of times people start having a little bit of both, or sometimes you start with Etsy and eBay or whatever that might be, Poshmark, whatever is the place that makes sense for you. And then if you have electronics, you're most likely going to be on eBay, or maybe you're going to do Amazon or Walmart now. But if you are on the handmade or the vintage business, Etsy is going to be more likely where you're going to find your clientele. So again, go back to the beginning of our presentation, do your research. Each one of those platforms and marketplaces have its benefits. So what is best for your business? That's a question that you have to answer based on whatever it is that you are not just dealing, what you're going to be selling, how you're going to be sourcing. And but also, for example, another thing to talk about here, if you're doing drop shipping, Shopify has everything set up easier than GoDaddy. But then if you are on your own inventory, GoDaddy has a lower fee than Shopify on the transaction. So one is 2.5, the other is 3.5. So things that depends when you're talking about scaling and bringing big volume, you will make a difference. So, but again, do your homework on all those platforms and see what makes sense for you. So before I move it forward, this is one that has so much. Does anyone has any of you guys out there who are already selling on any of those platforms? Do you use any of those that are here, or what do you use? If you guys can share with everybody, what do you use? And or if you have any questions on this before we move forward to the next slide. Shopify. And Zuri, do you want to share what is that kind of you start right off the bat with Shopify, or did you do somewhere else first, or do you also kind of have a presence aside from social media? We're going to talk about social in a little bit, but in terms of the store front itself online, do you also have a presence anywhere else, or you you do everything through Shopify? While we're here for an answer, another thing that I want to mention and make sure I cover too, a big difference when you're talking, like I see here, like, WooCommerce, WordPress, Magento, some of those platforms, you gotta have, either you gotta know code yourself, or you gotta be able to have a budget to pay for a developer who know how to do coding. So that's kind of when you're talking about open source, and there is always the plus and minus. There is the freedom and the how specific and how unique you can get it when you are doing from scratch, compared to using a template that you would go if you go on places like Shopify or GoDaddy. But then or Wix. But there is also tweaks that you can do. So all questions to consider. So let me see here, Shopify. Oh, no mic, okay, that's all right. Okay, so let's move on here then to next and see, keep it going on the presentation here. And if anybody else kind of get answer later, we'll read the chat later. So just keep going ahead, you can answer that, and we'll touch base later. We can kind of cover the things that we might have missed on the chat as we go to the presentation. Thank you, guys. Okay, so now talking about, and this might be relevant even more for people that are already online. So another thing to consider when you are opening a business, or sometimes you're already open and you're kind of, transactions, everything is happening and money is coming, the business is growing the way you want, or at least it's happening, and you want to go to the next step. And what could be the things that you can do? And then sometimes we start a business just doing something transactional, and we don't necessarily think about the brand experience. And can be something that it might be a matter of choice, or maybe because you didn't know, or you actually did not want to, because it's very different when you're talking about a brand experience and versus a transactional business. And again, this is a topic that we can talk for a long time, but I'm going to just touch it on the kind of the surface of what that would be. And then I tell you in terms of trend, that brand experience storytelling, of course, I'm sure you already heard about it. It is the way that most likely the future will be. Not saying the transactional business is not going to have a place. I believe it always will, but it's a different logistics behind it. It's a volume. It's not personal, which most likely most of e-commerce is retail in general. It's going much more to a personal experience. But okay, let's kind of focus here. What is the brand experience? So, and when you think about brand, a lot of people think about a logo. And yes, logo is part of it, but that's one little part of what falls under brand experience. That goes not just so the logo, which goes from the little pen, the little business card, the website, all the colors and the types and all those things that have to do with your brand identity. Brand is much bigger than that. It's the whole, it has the voice of your brand, and it has the feel, and it has the whole experience. And that's much more to do with communities and tribes, which is much more the future of retail. And that's something that everybody should consider, or at least be aware. And it may be, it's your business decision to I don't want to deal, because it's a much more long-term result, sort of kind of experience that you have it than a transactional, which you see much faster. So, but that's something to consider and to research and look into it. And again, nothing wrong with either, just being aware of where trends are going and what space you want to take. We can move to next.
Priscilla, before we go further, can you expand a little bit more about building this brand experience? Is the idea that you want repeat customers, or you want, like subscriptions to, the services that people are providing? Is that the idea? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Cheryl. So when you're talking about kind of the brand, it's like the experience, which is what everybody these days, and that's something that COVID made it even bigger. It was already a trend on kind of the last decade. People start much more being selective to where they put their money. Who do they make business with? And COVID just make it this kind of exponential, super fast. And of course, all the new generations that are coming, which is they are all about the experience. And that's about being personal. And that's about creating a space where you connect to the mission, connect to the story, connect to the person behind the business. It's much more real in a sense that people want to see, they want to do business with people, period. That's what, so the more you kind of get your brand to be real, to be yourself, especially small business, which most of us here, I believe we all are small business. So it's about you, a lot about you, and not necessarily you as a persona, but like, what do you believe? What do you support? Are you somebody who believes on recycling and upcycling? And are you somebody who supports no profit? Are you somebody who is helping the community? Are you somebody who gives back? So all those things are things a lot of the consumers these days, they prefer and they will pay a little bit more for a brand that connects the values that they have, that they carry, and they want to see in the world for themselves and for their children, for their community, than anything else. They will pay a little bit more. So they want to know that you care for them and that you are actually making something to connect with them. It's not about, yes, of course, we have to sell the product and we have it to make business. Everybody know, and there's nothing wrong, and it's much more open and much more real in that sense too. So it's easier in a way. But so there is kind of two different things on the brand. So the brand identity, which kind of what I mentioned in terms of which is what people think about brand, the colors, what font you're gonna use it and all that, which that's kind of easy in a way because it's more technical, if you will. It's something that kind of, software almost, I don't want to take it away from building a brand at all, but like a software can help you if you don't have the resources to hire an agency. Or you can have a software to kind of do the pretty basics on what makes sense in terms of studies and colors and there's a lot of free resource out there for you to kind of build that story in a way. And then the other part, which is the biggest, which is the behind the scenes, which is the no tangible of the brand, which is what is that you believe? What is this brand about? What experience I'm going to bring? And then if you expand a little bit bigger, like these days, the customers they want, if you are somebody who has, like some of you mentioned that you do like, the Westerville market on Fridays, and there is some sort of pop-up shops, and then there is also the online presence. So you kind of are doing different ways that you are reaching your customers. So you have the in-person experience, and you want to make sure that the in-person on the market, that experience that somebody comes on Friday is the same treatment, the same story, the same feel, the same attention, the same care that you are giving in person to that customer who is there live with you is the same that the person is going to get online. Of course, when you are online, we are not able to be in front of the person as you are in the markets, but the feel has to be the same. So many of us, when it comes to brand, if you are a small shop, they go on their website, and what they show is they have, and even if it's not on your front page, at least on your About Us page, that you tell a story, and there's a little picture, no matter if it's the kitchen where you are baking your pies, or if you are kind of showing, the basement where you have your office, or whatever that might be, but show your real you, because your customer wants to connect with you. So kind of that, so the experience of now going back to kind of that feel. So when they are on the market on Friday, they want to come and see that, I think it's the pie. That is what happens on Fridays. I don't know if I'm mixing which business is where, but let's say if it was the pie. So what you're seeing there, the presentation of your pies, the trays is the same that you are showing online. And that can be on your store. And also we're going to talk a little bit about kind of blog, for example. If you're blogging and you're talking the same language, your voice is the same. So the same care that you show in person, you are showing online. So that's one thing that you have to have that consistency. And other thing is like you're going to be touching in terms of nowadays, a lot of people ask, for example, on email marketing, is email marketing dead? No, it's not. And I don't know if that ever will. And email marketing is a huge tool, very important. And one thing that COVID did that it kind of just make this stronger is people want, even though, yes, our inboxes have thousands of emails and we don't read a whole bunch of them, but we do want to receive a communication from the brands we care, and we actually act on them. So it's something that you have to make sure that you have that presence. And again, the voice on that email is not like a robotic sort of kind of, oh, dear sir. It's something that you are talking whatever ways that you talk with them on the market. It's very personal. It's very, if you are somebody who is casual talking and you are more informal, use that same language that you are having a conversation on the market. Translate that in writing. So that experience that the person has with your brand is the same. They know that no matter if they are buying from you, ordering online, or if they are buying from you in front of your booth, they are going to get the same. They know that you care. They know that the pie is going to be delicious. They know that you are using the high quality product. No matter where it's coming from, it's all the same. And you're going to be there. They know that you're going to back them up. For example, if you have it, and that goes with something we're going to talk a little bit later. So like return policy and product warranty, how much you give it or not, what that is, make it clear and universal across all the channels that you are present, that is consistent, so they can trust your brand and they know that they can do that and they will be spreading. So that it's kind of did I answer a little bit, Cheryl?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Didn't know.
Again, this subject is something we can go on for a much longer time. There is a lot of, kind of talk more, but it's that consistent, feel real. And this day and age, it's about telling your story and really telling your story. We leave it, I say, we're going to talk about social media in a second. But on this day and age, people that are dreaming that they can hide things, they are dreaming. That's what I believe. There is no way to hide things these days, guys. Everybody can find anything about anyone. So just make sure that don't try to pretend that you are somebody that you are not. It's going to fall through and it's going to fall back on your face. And it's not going to be good. So just be you and be proud of whatever you are and just go and present, and people will connect to that. And that's going to be much stronger. And it's going to be much easier because it's you and what you believe, and then move it that way.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So here are a few extra things to consider that if you are not doing yet, make sure you do. And in the past couple of years, we had first start talking about taxes. There is a whole lot of changes on the e-commerce world specifically. In the past, we are able to not charge taxes outside if you didn't have a physical presence in some specific states, and you just had it. For example, if you are in Ohio, you would just have to charge for people that are in Ohio, and then you didn't have to charge if somebody bought in California and you're shipping to California. Things from the past have completely changed. Now you got to charge from everyone. And I am not an accountant, and I'm not going to even try to get into all the nuances, and there's so many things behind the taxes. I just want to make sure that I bring this up and that you have a tax person with you on your side. And I know that Columbus Urban League provides connections on that word as well, or you might have somebody outside. Whatever it is, make sure they connect to a professional and you take care of business. And on that sense, also, we're going to talk a little bit about some laws in terms of privacy. That's also super, super important, and recently has changed as well. There is stay on top of those things. They are, to me, super boring, but they are necessary and they need it. So find somebody who's good at, somebody who knows, who loves doing that, and make sure that you get educated and that you have somebody knowledgeable on your side. Make sure they're doing things properly so your business can stay open and you're doing things right. Another thing to consider also is that what kind of policies you're going to have. And that's something you should have on your website, no matter if you are in a marketplace or if you are running your own show. Make sure that you have, it might be on the little footer, but you have all your policies, that you are clear on what expectations people can have. So that's something one of the worst things that you can do when you are running e-commerce is let people wondering. People don't like that. We want to know things, and no matter good or bad, you just be upfront, be clear, let them know, and set the expectations. So whatever is do you do accept returns or you don't? And if you do, what are the conditions? Pretty clear. Make it that upfront and accessible on your website so people don't guess and wonder or misunderstand things. And the same, we're going to talk about Q&A in a second. Another thing here, the reason I put out this good and love here, that's reviews. That's other thing that is extremely important as well when it comes to e-commerce. It's something that you want to start building from the beginning. And there are many tools and many different ways to get reviews. I don't know if you got 90% of consumers on this day and age, they check on reviews on your business before they do business with you. So it's a huge number. So make sure that you have some sort of tool. And again, going back to marketplaces, some of those places provided those already for you. Some of them you can get on the side as an app. It really depends on what platform you're using. Whatever that is that you are doing, make sure that you find a partner to collect reviews. No matter if it's through CRM on email marketing, or if you're doing directly on your website. And some places will allow you to kind of copy and paste, some places not. So get yourself educated, and whatever is the platform you're using, make sure that you understand and that you find a way to collect them. Another thing, it kind of touches a little bit in terms of here when you see birthday discounts and freebies, that kind of touches a little bit on the brand that we just talked about. So when you're establishing yourself as a brand, do you want people to perceive you as somebody who gives discounts or not? Again, nothing wrong either way, whatever it is, just be consistent. So because you're going to educate, you're going to start creating like some sort of that's what branding does a lot of times, creating a whole mindset and educating people behind the scenes, a psychology that it's not written anywhere, but people are going to start expecting. If you are somebody who is bringing, you are always talking about the coupons and the discounts, you are educating your consumer to buy when the discounts come. Or you don't want to do that. Or maybe you want to do on a specific, the big retail holidays of the year, whatever that might be. So decided your strategy, and that kind of goes with marketing. And we're going to talk about a little bit furthermore on the next few slides. So just all things to consider as you are running your business. We can move to next. So here again, talking about talk about coupon and brands, just gonna touch base very quickly on advertising, promotion, public relation efforts. What is that you are doing? Do you have a budget for it? And there's a lot of things that you can do that are organic, and a lot of things that you need money. And then, so how are you gonna do it? And we're gonna talk about SEO, and I gotta make sure here that I'm on track, because SEO is something that you can get a lot of traffic coming in an organic way. It's gonna take some time to kind of get, keywords and set up everything behind the scenes and links and all that, but it's worth the money for the most part. It is worth, it's necessary really. So, but anyways, I don't know, a lot of us when we started, we do not have a budget for advertise. What is SEO? That's a great question. We're going to move into that, and I'm going to kind of zoom through this here so we can get in SEO, because it's one of the most important things when we are running a business. So just before we move it from this slide, I just want to point out here on the top, when you see here, this is kind of put a plug in you guys about social listening. That's one thing as well. When you have a presence online, make sure you're checking out what people are talking about your brand. And there's for different reasons on that. And there's tools that do all this automated for you. So the social listening is something also that you want to touch bases and make sure you check it. Let's move on to next. I want to make sure that I cover that I take a good 5 minutes or 10 with SEO, which is one of the most important things about e-commerce. So here I'm going to just brought this up to, again, make sure you guys, for all of you who already have your presence online, make sure you're using your Google tools for e-commerce. A lot of them are free. So install, even if you don't have the ability or you don't understand yet how it works, whatever that might be, you don't have the time to look into it. It doesn't matter, even if you don't do all that, if that's going to take 3 months for you to be able to do it, install it now, because it doesn't go retroactive. So I'm like, I didn't say that right? You guys know what I mean. So it's something that can install as soon as you open your shop. And if you already open your shop and you don't have that installed, go. If you take anything away from today that you have a homework for until the end of this month, get Google Analytics installed on your shop. Again, even if you don't have time to go or you don't understand yet how to read all the data behind, it starts collecting. And you need that. You're going to need that for many different reasons in the near future. So start collecting that data. We will not have time to dig into this, so let's move it. I want to make sure we cover SEO, but keep a radar on Google Analytics and get that installed, guys. So here, talking about SEO, and that's what I'm going to kind of spend most of the time. So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization. So what it does, that's kind of everything that has happened behind the scenes. So let me get, well, first let me kind of brief here on the left, you guys see the butterflies, that goes for email marketing. We talk about that a little bit. Make sure you are doing email marketing, no matter if you have 5 people or if you have 50, keep growing, keep asking for those emails and keep building that. That's going to be key for your success. Also, social media, very quickly, make sure that you are connecting, that you have it. And we, unfortunately, I talked to Cheryl about in the past already, we have to do a social media, and that's another area that I do a whole lot of work. And I feel very comfortable sharing. I would love to share with you guys a whole lot of knowledge around social. And there is a whole universe of things to talk that would be much more than an hour webinar as well. So that will be another day. Stay tuned. We'll find a time and we'll dig into social media and the best ways to do, the best channels for you, where do you want to be, where you don't want to be, and why, and all that. Blog as well, links. So the reason why I have blog and the links right here next to each other, even though most of people are not reading blogs every day, they are not, but there is one major, I still tell everyone, do blog. Doesn't matter if nobody's reading, no matter if you look at and you saw 4 people read in the entire month. That's not really the strength, the main reason behind blogging, in my opinion. To me, blog, the main power behind blogging is keywords. It's organic, bringing organic traffic for free for you and setting your website as an authority. And there is a whole lot of things behind it that's going to connect to our next subject, which is SEO. How you become an authority for Google. What are the things that you need to have in order to populate on the top of that page and be when people are researching? How do you get there without spending millions of dollars? So one of the ways it's going to be blogging is going to be a huge helper. So that's some keywords and some right next to it. You guys see this little drawing of website A, B, C, D, E, F, kind of arrows everywhere. That is kind of reference to backlinks. And there is what I call inside link, outside link. And that's kind of just an easy way to kind of understand. When you're writing a blog, for example, if you create, you are writing about pies, and then you go and you describe your talk today about the banana pie, and then you say this banana pie is done X, Y, and Z way, and then check out my banana pie here. And then there's a link that brings to your shop. That's an inside link. So it's sending you to your own business. Then what is the outside link? Let's just say that there is the culinary authority of Ohio. I don't know if that exists. I'm totally making up, but let's say, so that's somebody outside your business is my point. So then you go and say, oh, the culinary corporation voucher for my pie. So check out it here. So you put a link to their establishment. So that's outside your business. So ideally, every blog, and that, of course, this changes every 6 months or shorter than that these days. But in the past, Google would change this all the time. But the last time that I checked, they want your blogs to have at least 3 inside links, 3 outside links. So you're going to, and that's going to make it help you ranking up. That's one of the main things. Then next thing you guys see heading H1, H2. This is all kind of connects to SEO. And what that does is how the description of each item, that when you have your products on your website, there is different ways to describe your product. So there is that very descriptive, like manufacturer description, like what kind of, Amazon's would do, just kind of what is on the box. They go and say computer, HP, this much, blah, blah, blah. Very technical. There is no storytelling. There is no romance. There is no, it's just technical. And that is fine for that kind of business. For us, for the small business, for the ones that are telling a story, that you have something that was made by you, created by you, or you run in a small business, You're going to tell the story. People love to hear the story. They connect to people again. So what is behind the product? Who did it? Where was it made? Who is this helping? What causes the supporting? All that. So your product description on each product page of your site is going to have much more of storytelling. The storytelling is going to have keywords, which are going to help with your SEO. So all those things that you are doing behind the scenes, which is going to help your SEO, which is pretty much kind of how you advertise and how you want the world to see you without them knowing that you are doing. It's kind of behind the scenes advertise is kind of how I refer to. So how do you want to be perceived? Do you want to be known as the best? Like, let's say that apple pie is your top seller. So, and you want to be well known as the best apple pie in Columbus, Ohio. So you're going to make sure that every listing that you have, you have placed that is specific areas behind the scenes where you can put those keywords, that you're going to always be stamping what is that you want to be known for. And then that you're going to be using specific areas. So you're going to be like, best cooking or handmade, organic ingredients. So whatever that might be that is real to your business. So you're going to go and make sure that you use that over and over and over as it applies, of course, but that you have it. So you're maximize. Every time that you maximize out this free space that is behind each product page, and therefore all the little places that you connected, which has to do with the tags and meta tags, long tail tag, all technical stuff, but that matters. That's all part of SEO. This is always going to help your website rank up high without you putting money into advertising. So I feel we can completely have an hour just talking about SEO, Cheryl. As I'm talking, I'm like, oh, we are running out of time, and there is so much more that we have to cover, and this is a very important. So, but today, again, the topic today is kind of cover the basics here, and then we can, Cheryl and I will talk to see if we might schedule another class just to talk specifically about SEO, where we can really dig into each one of them. Other thing, for example, every time that you put an image online, you got to make sure that there is what's called alt, like ALT tag. Every image, when you put it online, has that space. You should be filling up. You have to fill it up, all those, and most of us don't fill it up out. And a lot of agencies that you pay for to do, they don't either. So make sure that you do your homework. When you are your business owner, you are the CEO, you got to check it. You got to do your duties and make sure that you're checking and people are doing things right when you're having somebody else doing it. One of the things that a lot of people leave it out is the alt tag. And what's the problem with that? It's not only the missing opportunity to describe an item, meaning you have to type, like you have a picture of a pie, you write apple pie. That's that. And another reason, just to give you guys an idea of how deep SEO can affect you, is if you don't put a tag, you're pretty much waving a red flag to Google. And what's Google think when a website, a e-commerce, a store does not use alt tags? They consider you as somebody who is discriminating against people who has impaired vision, for example. Because they cannot see the image, they need the alt tag to know what you're selling. The minute you're not putting that, you're discriminating. So the minute you discriminate, Google does not want you to do business with them. They are pushing you down. So that's just kind of give you guys a little taste of how important it is to take care of SEO. And there's many nuances. You can read it. There's a lot of stuff out there for free that you guys can read it. There's tons of great information out there. Let me see here. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. There is a lot of details. It's amazing. There's a lot of things. One thing that I love, there's so many resources, so much stuff we can do for free. You just need to get educated and kind of learn about it and take care of it. And you can rank pretty high without putting an extra $1. It's gonna cost your time, yes. Or, maybe you're going to go and hire a VA or hire, I don't know, somebody to go and do that for you if you are busy doing something else. But get that done. It's super important. Okay, let's move forward here. Let me see how we are doing on time. Oh, it's noon. Okay, we are not going to even, let's super fast here. So talking about repeat purchase, another time we can talk with you guys. I'm sure already heard and have been seeing out there how augmented reality is now so real and so present. And if you're talking about generation alpha, generation not just Z and X, alpha, which is there's 2.5 million of generation alpha, which are our kids that are up to people that are born on 2010 and after that. So, which is more than 0.5% of the population already taken over, which is the future. If you want to have a business running 5 years from now and forwards, you got to take care of these people. That's AR. And there is a whole lot of tools out there like Shopify right now, which is what they just started. It's wonderful. If you have Shopify Plus, you don't need to have all the money that you needed to create the whole, of the big corporations that are doing AR already. But if you have it, you take pictures of your product and they teach you how to do this, like angles, specific angles, they will throw out that for you and create that for you. But there is many sources. There is all kinds of, I have the developer that I work with, he's wonderful. And back last year, we are talking about AR and I'm like, okay, let's study this. We got to figure this out. We got to use it, especially on the jewelry business. There is no way not to be able to try on the jewelry. So we are in the middle of getting this going and he got it all straight out and it's wonderful. But anyways, let's see here. Let's see what else if there is super fast here and then we wrap up. I know it's noon. I'm so sorry. This, you guys can read some of what's there. You guys can read it when Cheryl sent out the presentation. You guys can check it out. Feel free to go and send me an email or send it to Cheryl an email of things that you'd like to hear more. And then we can kind of plan this and break it down in other modules because there's a lot to cover. There's a lot to cover. SMS, it's something we have to talk about. Tax, it's something that there's no way not to do that too in the future very soon. And then benchmarks, that's something you guys can read on your own, just get an idea. So you kind of know where to compare, not to bring you down, just kind of don't compare, you don't know what's true or not a lot of times. People are saying things are great and not really. So use the competition just to get inspired and to get better, not to bring you down. Don't let that happen. Social selling, we're going to talk about that another time. And then, let's see, there's a couple more. I'm so sorry I ran out of time. Omnichannel, experience branding. And here, that's also, check it out. That's something I think we should do a training just on that. All those 10 market channels. So podcasts and blog and how that affect your SEO and how that help you become an authority and educator. So we'll talk about that another time.
I think Priscilla is on fire. I mean, this is just awesome. My goodness, the wealth of information that she has, certainly in her experience over these years. This is definitely somebody that we want to be able to mine as much information as we can. And so, yes, absolutely. I'm seeing in the chat, folks are saying thank you, and yes, definitely on fire. So we will be setting up a series of trainings with Priscilla because and certainly this is where commerce is going. I mean, if you're not online, you're not going to be able to keep up with where the trends are going, as we move forward. And I mean, Generation Alpha, who thought? And when you think about even our children, I mean, they're consumers. I mean, they're telling you what to order, what to buy, and what to see. And now I'm seeing they have these the codes that are on the screens, and people can buy just putting up your phone to it's crazy. So we definitely want to make sure that all of our entrepreneurs that are dealing in this space have the information that they need. I certainly appreciate everyone that has tuned in today. Didn't have as many as we had hoped, but that's okay. That's one of the great things. We have these recordings because it will be available in our Impact channel on YouTube. And I'm just kind of going back and looking through the analytics of about 80 classes that we have posted so far. And we get so many that go back or people that are watching it that did not attend that initial session. So these are valuable, and we certainly encourage everyone to take advantage of the recordings that are available on our YouTube channel. Priscilla, thank you so much. And most definitely, we will be scheduling follow-up sessions sooner than later. So keep an eye out on our weekly blog. And actually, we're looking at possibly just moving that to a monthly blog and then keeping everybody updated on our Facebook page. So if you have not liked us or following us on the Impact Columbus Facebook page, please do so. Just look us up. We're there. And all of our training information is available there, and other things that we want to make sure that we can get you as soon as possible, so you don't have to wait for the weekly newsletter or the monthly newsletter. But even after hearing the session today, we might still need to keep that going, because a lot of people now are following us, and hopefully we want to continue to expand that audience. So again, thank you. Keep posted. We do have some new trainings that are coming up this month. I was going to put it up here on the screen for you. Let me see if I can do that real quick, because we want to make sure everybody takes advantage of them.
Ms. Sharon, while you're doing that, may I add something real quick?
Yes, please. Yes.
Thank you again, Priscilla. You know, I would say it's not often that we have savants come and teach, but it is often that we have experts, subject matter experts, coming and presenting here through our impact. And you know, Priscilla, I just have to say one thing, and you know, I mean it sincerely. You need to get a microphone, so when you're done with your Zoom calls, you can just drop it, because that was absolutely amazing and fantastic. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Okay, let me see if I can get that screen up here for us, so that you can see what we got coming up. Or maybe I'll just have to read it to you. That might be a little easier, because you know I'm not the most tech savvy person sometimes. Okay, where are you? There we go. Our upcoming trainings, combating cyber risk. And certainly if you're dealing in the e-commerce space, it is your security of your website and your store is going to be important. So we have Mark L. Snyder and Sandra Moody Gresham, who will be sharing information in that regard. We have factoring, a strategic source of working capital. Renee Tyack of Cash Plus is going to be sharing as to how to generate cash flow using your accounts receivable. And then let's get in front of the money with Stephanie R. Bridges, who is a grant writer and consultant, as well as one of our own MBEs. And she has helped artists and entrepreneurs and small businesses, as well as nonprofits, secure more than $500,000 in funding. And so she'll be sharing her experience as a small business owner and MBE, and also about workshops that she is offering to support small and emerging businesses. So the Impact Columbus is also on fire. And we've got a number of trainings that are going to be industry specific that'll be coming up over the next month. So certainly keep posted, and we hope to see you at our next session. Again, thank you for coming, and we hope that this has been helpful to you. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.